Greetings from Castle Goring, from Nikki, Aurora, and from me. Well, I have had the most wonderful weekend, and I am going to post at the end of this some photographs of one or two of us at the Imperial Winter Ball, which was held on Saturday evening in aid of the Children's Burns Unit. It's the trust that has a unit. It is a wonderful charity, and I'm going to post Princess Dmitry Loban of Rostovsky, who is the chairman of the event, giving a little speech about what happens with burns. And then I am going to post this, the Ballet Icons Gala on Sunday evening at the London Coliseum was heaven on earth. It started off with Sleeping Beauty with Marianela Nunez and William Bracewell, and impeccable. I mean, the dancing was just so superb. It was unbelievable. I was particularly moved by Le Corsaire, which I love in any event. Inez McIntosh was superb, but Shale Wigman, Le Corsaire, was absolutely fantastic. He is the best Corsaire I have seen since Farouk Ruzimatov, who was the definitive Corsaire. Beyond fabulous, just beyond fabulous. Then what moved me particularly, because it was one classical, one modern, 8 in each segment. I loved Diana and Action, which was danced by Margarita Fernandez and Antonio Casalinho, but Giselle was just so exquisite. Chloe Missildine, to die for, beyond exquisite, and she was partnered superbly by Rhys Clark. And then the end was Don Quixote, and it was Naya it's a very difficult name, McHatterley and Timothy Van Pushka. Wonderful as well, wonderful. I mean, he was just splendid, and so was she. So this was the program, and I'll ask Sean, to those of you who are balletamanes, to post so you'll see. And then there was a party afterwards, wonderful, sumptuous dinner at the Corinthia Hotel. There is every year, twice a year. It's just wonderful. The whole evening is done so beautifully. It's organized by Olga Balakleets, and she is just superb. And everything was just impeccably done as ever. But the standard of dancing took one's breath away. And so we will post. Unfortunately, you can't photograph the ballet itself. So I'll do a little bit of the curtain call, and then I will do a bit of Olga's speech and showing one or two photographs of some of the glamorous people who were there. Okay, so without further ado, I will now plunge in with more déclassé matters. Sorry, but it's true. It's so interesting when royalty causes you to scrape the bottom of the barrel and mix with the pigs in the sewer. Patricia Waske says, Lady C, good morning, and I love your scarf. So classy. Thank you. Obviously not this scarf. On H.G. Tudor this morning, a commenter speculated that the reason William Morris Endeavour, Ari Emanuel and Netflix are continuing to work with Meghan is because of expectations of future scandal. They anticipate Meghan savaging Harry post-divorce, and they all want to ride along, expecting a huge payout. What do you think about this? It sounds highly likely to me. Are your Hollywood bongo drums sounding anything about this? Wow! His Majesty King Charles may be forced to cough up hundreds of millions to protect the monarchy's reputation and Harry's. Personally, I wouldn't believe a word out of Meghan's mouth, but if she has videotaped Harry in flagrante delicto, we just may have no choice. I doubt Meghan would hold back. Look at what she's done to her father and her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth the King and Princess Catherine. Very interesting. Well, may I make one or two observations? My understanding is that Ari Emanuel, and I've been saying this for some time, now everybody's sort of been catching up with me, that he had put distance between Meghan and himself. And I think that was confirmed a few weeks ago. I forget which publication, it's also trivial. Netflix, the word in Hollywood is that Netflix is getting ready to dump them unless they can renegotiate a contract that is so low. This is what I'm being told. It's not necessarily general knowledge in Hollywood. If they can renegotiate a contract that is actually so low that they lock her in and him in for insurance, not because they would expect that in the event of a divorce, no, so that whether there is a divorce or not, they can use Harry and Meghan's presence as a validation of their links to the royal family. I gather Ari Emanuel wants to have nothing to do with her. She is at this point hanging on by the skin of her teeth at both William Morris Endeavour and Netflix. And nobody expects that in the event of a divorce that she is going to be so marketable that she would be worth tens of millions in terms of a payment. They'll get it for nothing. All the dramas would be played out in court and in the press beforehand. They don't need to pay big bucks for that. So then what was the rest of it? The king isn't going to be giving hundreds of millions. He couldn't care less whether Harry was caught rogering rabbits. He couldn't care less. Really, I mean, the attitude is, we don't want to know, we don't want to discuss it, we are over it. That's what the royal attitude is. They don't want to know. They have moved on, the ship has sailed, they don't care what's happening on the dock, and they don't care that somebody's market basket has toppled into the harbour, or that someone else has pilfered their breadfruit and ackee and saltfish fritters. They don't care. There's no way that the king would be giving any vast sum of money. He was blackmailed by Diana into coughing up £17 million when he was hoping to get away with about 3. He's learned that lesson. And there is no way Meghan is going to be given a payoff of hundreds of millions, not even tens of millions. She is going to discover what Sarah York discovered. Second sons are virtually penniless when compared with first sons. So I hope that makes that clear. And what was the rest of it? She can videotape till she's blue in the face. In England, there's the Argyll versus Argyll law that the secrets of the marriage bed are sacrosanct. My stepmother-in-law, Margaret Argyll, got that against my father-in-law, who was the 11th Duke of Argyll. And in the United States of America, they will have laws that protect. So there are certain things that she can do and certain things that she can't do and certain things that she may be tempted to do. But it's not going to behoove her. And she can whip up any frenzies that she wants. It will work well with TMZ, but that's about it. Of course, it's going to be very entertaining as well, should it happen. But it may never happen, because Harry and Meghan are in many respects well suited. I've said it before. Mary Michelle Rutherford, who takes as scientific an approach as it's possible to take to astrology, read both Meghan and Harry's charts here when over my 70th birthday party occasion for everybody who was staying here. It was fun. And according to their charts, they are extremely well suited in both virtues, such as might exist, and failings, all of which are apparent. So let's not hold our breath and wait for the sensational divorce. But if it happens, you can depend on it. Oh, they forced me. They forced me. They forced me. They forced me. They're racists. And I wanted them so badly. They're racists. And I had to go along with it all. Because I just did. Racists. 1 tear left eye. 2 tears left eye. 3 tears left eye. Oh, let's just turn on the faucet. Sharon Thomas says, Dear Lady C, Dan Wooten recently stated that King Charles and the royal family have no idea the public is so critical of their handling of the Carparcles, specifically merging titles and the nefarious circumstances around Meg's pregnancies. How could the king be so unaware of public fury and disgust? Does he live in an information cocoon? I'm very disappointed in him as the defender of the faith and head of the Church of England after he failed to recognise the Christian Lent season, despite bending over backwards to recognise Ramadan. I am afraid his clueless behaviour will destroy much goodwill for the monarchy and leave little for Prince William to assume one day. Very sad. Another strong leader unfairly cleaning up the feckless and avoidable mess of another. Okay, well, it's amazing how cocooned people can be at the top of the ladder. I mean, I have to tell you, when you are civilized and live with a degree of privilege, you are really pretty protected. And when you are living with as much privilege and as much cocooning as happens with the royal family, because remember, they're very busy and they are fed information by their private secretaries who keep a lot from them. Oh, well, this isn't imperative to deal with now, so they don't deal with it. And so they do live sometimes in a fool's paradise. They are aware, though. They are aware of the chatter. I know that. They are aware of it. But they have switched off where Harry and Meghan are concerned. They want Harry and Meghan to achieve their natural conclusion. Really, they don't want to put up traffic barriers or sleeping policemen on the road to perdition. They just want them to be able to trundle down it unobstructed. And then when comes the big bang, they will deal with it then. There is merit in that approach because aside from anything else, you're not manipulating the situation. You're letting it evolve naturally. It also is very 12-step when you are dealing with people who are drug-addled or mentally ill or having personality problems. Let go and let God. Don't manipulate. And since much of it to do with Harry and Meghan is personal and arises out of their personalities and their ambitions and their objectives. And as I've pointed out time and again, the royal family is also constrained by the law in this country. There are certain things they can and can't do. And since there's very little at this point that they can do to move things along to the satisfaction of those who wish to see a speedy outcome or a punitive outcome, they are not standing in the way of people wrecking themselves. Now, insofar as Charles living in an information cocoon, yes, he does to an extent. He does. That's not unique. And also, some people may be obsessed with the Harry and Meghan situation and want an outcome that is just. The king at the moment is central to the possibility of a European peace. He is the King of Canada. He is the King of the United Kingdom. He is, he has asked President Trump to come over. He has received President Zelensky recently. He is in close touch with all, via his staff, all of the European allies and the Americans. So there's an awful lot going on at the moment that really Harry and Meghan are of little or no significance whatsoever. And first things first, I thought it was an error of judgment for him to not acknowledge Ash Wednesday, having acknowledged the start of Ramadan, because normally in the royal calendar every year there is the Maundy Thursday offerings. So that's what the monarch does, not only as monarch, but as head of the Church of England. So maybe he thought it's a redundancy, he doesn't need to do two, but unless he's going to ignore Eid, he should have done Ash Wednesday. So I just say that for what it's worth. I think he's king of everybody in the country, and I think he should be acknowledging everybody's religion. That's my view of it. Just because you respect other people's religions doesn't mean that you are actually a member of their religions. Charles is a member of the Church of England. Charles is the supreme governor of the Church of England. If he decides to disengage from that position, he's going to have a lot of problems. And I know people are asking, has he converted? No, he hasn't. He's not. Courtney's Quill says, Meghan will always be Meghan Markle, just as Wallis was always Wallis Simpson. Courtney's Quill, I couldn't agree more. She can want everybody to call her Meghan Sussex till she's blue in the face. She's going down in history as Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle who lacked sparkle. Meghan Markle who knew how to create a great debacle. Meghan Markle who was a car parkle debacle. So, having done all of that tacky stuff, I will move on to what Kareem says. I personally think that Harry was happy to leave the royal family so that he didn't have to work too hard. Those two deserve each other. You're not the only person who thinks that. Harry has always evidently been lazy and feckless and loved doing nothing except being stoned all day. And Meghan has given him the perfect out. And he doesn't have to worry about pressure from the courtiers and the family for him to be doing what he should be doing and living up to his responsibilities. Because he knows that they are all going to be very happy to keep his fig leaf nicely burnished with gold leaf, for him to do the very occasional thing that will give the message that he is not totally down the tube. So I hope that answers that question. Suzanne King says, I have to ask, is Meghan truly subconsciously self-destructive? Opportunity after opportunity, with excellent agents, public relations experts, the wheels greased for her large production staffs, etc. And she always manages to get it back arsewards, and the projects all fail or never get off the ground. It's too consistent that one has to wonder if that's what she's going for. She knows it's going wrong and still denies advice that she's paying top dollar for. I can't make sense of it. Does she secretly think that she doesn't deserve success? Well, narcissists usually have massive inferiority complexes, and they're usually running away from their feelings of insecurity and inferiority, and they overcompensate by tilting the scales in the absolute opposite direction. And they are busy self-hypnotizing and effectively lying to themselves. And then, having lied to themselves, they lie to everybody else. Is she self-destructive? You could say that narcissism is a form of self-destructiveness. Anything that is a personality disorder is self-destructive. So, is she unconsciously self-destructive? Well, it would appear so. Does she think she doesn't deserve success? She knows she doesn't deserve success. But she hopes that if she pretends to herself and everybody else, I deserve success, I deserve success, I'm authentic, I'm natural, I cock my finger when I take tea, I'm natural, I'm really classy. She is lying to herself as much as to everybody else. It's tragic on some level. Sadly, it's very standard and it's very destructive. It's not only destructive of others, it's destructive of herself, because you cannot be constantly suppressing the reality of yourself, never acknowledging it, always denying its existence, and then expect to enjoy the benefits that come from a harmonious, integrated identity. It's sort of obvious, isn't it? But is she subconsciously self-destructive? Yes, I would have said so. And I'm no psychiatrist. Sigourney says, "Hi, Lady Colin Campbell." Hello. Well, the Canadian Liberal Party, Canada, has just voted to elect a non-elected member of Parliament to be the 24th Prime Minister. Democracy is in grave danger when a party puts a non-elected citizen in the highest office without the vote of the people. The Liberal Party is in bed with the World Economic Forum to dictate and take away the rights of the people to choose its leaders and more. Please share your opinion, as I value your insights, discernment, and perspective. I thank you for all your shared thoughts to this community. You are a treasure and delight to tune into. Thank you very much. Well, Mark Carney is a dyed-in-the-wool left-wing liberal. He was the governor of the Bank of England. He also had a very successful career. Prior to that, he moved back to Canada with his English wife, Diana Fox. She is the daughter of a rich pig farmer called Christopher Fox, who has said she is something of an eco-warrior. And then he says that she doesn't like waste and never has. Well, that's actually a good sign. But then she has come out with some really pretty concerning stuff. And I'm going to quote one or two things that Mrs. Carney has had to say. First of all, she has very, very encouraging, embracing words to say about the anti-capitalist movement Occupy. And in an essay recently about the rise in inequality, she said, "Most of us certainly feel that the world is becoming more unequal. It is reasonable to expect that trends around income consolidation at the top of the spectrum will continue to the detriment of the majority. The politics of division are coming home to roost. The grass is always greener on the other side, and the Occupy movement has provided a voice to many unhappy people. So let's embrace inequality as the defining issue of our time and confront it head on by promoting greater opportunities for all." Well, I've got to tell Mrs. Carney something. She is absolutely wrong when she says, most of us feel that the world is becoming more unequal. Every bit of evidence economically, socially, politically, and historically shows that the world is becoming more equal, that more people are better off than they have ever been and have better standards of living than they have ever had. So right there, she is pushing a false agenda. She is saying that the Western world, and indeed the Eastern world and the Middle Eastern world, she's saying all these worlds have ever increasing inequality. They don't. They have ever increasing rises in standards of living, and the poor are less poor than they have ever been in the history of humanity. And what she also is either too ignorant or too prejudiced to understand is that until the 19th century, poor people were luckier than the majority of the population, which all over the world was enslaved. So they didn't even have the benefit of poverty. I mean, these are historical facts. And where these people come up with this rubbish from is quite beyond me, when it is quite obvious that any examination of history will tell you that what she's actually chatting rubbish. She studied PPE, Philosophy, Politics and Economics at St. John's College, Oxford. And before that, she was at Marlborough College. And guess who was also at Marlborough College? Catherine, Wales, the Princess of Wales. She met her husband when she was playing on Oxford University's women's ice hockey team. She gained a half blue for playing against Cambridge. Mark Carney was a postgraduate playing for the male team. And the teams would all mingle after games, and that's how they met. She also, for what it's worth, the Carneys were very friendly with Ghislaine Maxwell. Her sister Tanya was a very good friend of Ghislaine Maxwell, and they all used to socialize. Now, I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying it as a statement of fact. Her sister Tanya, interestingly enough, shares a given name with the daughter of the woman after whom Ghislaine Maxwell was named, Ghislaine Alexander, who became Lady Foley. She, with her husband, who then became the Earl of Caledon, they had a daughter called Tanya. Her half-brother, who is the Lord Lieutenant of Ulster, is the present Earl of Caledon. And in fact, his first wife is a friend of mine. And I've met the second wife as well. She's not a friend, but I've met her, and she's lovely. Both wives are lovely. And Tanya Fockey is Ghislaine Alexander became Lady Foley. So it's all very, if you stop to think about it, quite incestuous, shall we say, in the nice meaning of the word. And to think that Canada would have a Prime Minister who has never been elected is really rather ominous. But the same thing happened in the United Kingdom when the Macmillan government fell and the late Queen was induced to invite Sir Alec Douglas Hume, who was the Earl of Hume and had to renounce his peerage to become Sir Alec Douglas Hume, the Prime Minister who succeeded Harold Macmillan. This was in the early 1960s, at the time of just after the Profumo scandal, which had been in 1963. And the Conservatives ended up with egg on their face, and the Queen got roped into something that she was not exactly thrilled about having been roped into. And a version of this has just happened in Canada, because Sir Alec Douglas Hume was not elected by the people, and Mark Carney has not been elected by the people either. Doesn't that tell you something about the contempt that certain elements within the governing circles have for the democratic process and the voice of the people? I leave it at that. Gail Watkins says, "Dear Lady C, I was listening to you while I was making out my grocery list. All of a sudden, a striking comparison came to mind. Catherine is like peaches packed in their own juice. Meghan is peaches packed in heavy syrup. I can't help but notice how authentic Catherine is, opposed to how syrupy with extra sugar. but it's probably sweet and low because there's nothing authentic about Meghan. And on that note, I'm going to end with what Kay Costa says. Dear Lady C, I'm currently reading your book, Diana in Private, and I can't believe the similarities between Diana's behaviour and Meghan's during her time in the royal family. Do you think she read your book and copied Diana's actions from it? I've been told she did. I've been told she did. I've been told that she used the real Diana as a Bible. How true that is, I wouldn't know. But interesting, no? And on that note, I'm going to close with saying we are going to post a few pictures of the Imperial Winter Ball and Marina's speech, and then we're going to post some pictures and the curtain calls, and I cannot tell you how wonderful the Ballet Icons Gala was. Just magnificent. Also, the Imperial Winter Ball was very good as well, for what that's worth. And on that note, I'd say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Okay? Thank you so much. Take good care and Godspeed. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and a bientôt. Bye-bye.
Children were so badly burnt or scalded that they had to be admitted to a specialist burn service. This figure sadly increasing year on year. Nearly 5,000 of these were under 5 years of age. I would also like to mention that these figures are from the National Burn Injury Database and do not include the thousands of children seen every day in A&E departments up and down the country. Children with severe burns are often admitted to specialist burn services in hospitals far from their home. Parents coping with the trauma of a seriously ill child and mounting travel expenses can find it challenging. We help the families to cope with these initial costs. In recent months, we supported a mum from York whose 2-year-old was admitted to a Newcastle burns unit with severe burns. He needed skin grafts to help his deep burns to heal and will have to return many times during his childhood for ongoing treatment and surgery. Mum is a single parent. They live 100 miles from the burns unit and she was unable to work following the accident. This was a mum in crisis at a time when all she wanted to do was focus on her little boy. We have been providing these emergency grants since we started as a charity over 25 years ago. In this present cost of living crisis, we have seen an increased number of requests this year, and we're only the beginning of 2025. In addition to the emergency grants, we also support hospitals with grants to purchase specialist equipment, and the charity recently funded a special paediatric chair for the Children's Burns Ward in Bristol, so that young children who are heavily bandaged following a burn injury can sit out of bed to play, eat their meal, and do their exercises. One of the most appreciated services we provide is the private Facebook group, which enables parents and carers of children to share their fears, worries, and experiences, often in the early, small hours of the night when everything seems so much more daunting. I mentioned earlier on our access to figures from the National Burn Injury Database, and interrogation of this data enables us to target our prevention campaigns. For 12 years, we have spearheaded National Burn Awareness Day in October, and in conjunction with the British Burn Association and with the support of the fire and rescue services throughout the UK. The data is still of concern, particularly the increasing number of children suffering a hot water bottle scald. And we know that these campaigns are essential to keep highlighting the risks and raising awareness. An accident happens in the blink of an eye, but a burn injury is for life. Thank you so much for listening to me this evening, and on behalf of all of us at the Children's Burns Trust, thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Your Highness. Well, they will shortly serve your main course, but we have just heard what a wonderful cause we are here to support, as well as to have some superb entertainment. A little bit later, we will have our live auction. There is on your table a list of the auction prizes, so I hope you'll be ready to bid in a crazy fashion for those. And in particular, we have this lovely painting by our superb sponsor, Mr. Evgeny Minchev, who is on the far table. Thank you very much indeed, sir. So do enjoy the rest of your meal, and I will be back to you to extort money from you later. Thank you.
Very exciting moment. Now there will be a few awards given from the Ballet Icons Gala 2025. Ballet Icons Oscar. So it's a great pleasure to give the first award to Marianela Nunes. The next award is going to Jana Salenka. The next award is going to Maya Macatelli. The next award is going to David Motasares. The next award is going to Georgi Patsishvili. The next award is going to Antonio Casalingo. The next award is going to choreographer, and you've seen his work tonight, and his name is Tujeli November, and the award will be taking on his behalf by Anna Tsigakova. And the final award this year will be given to an organization which is doing amazing work, Waldberg Foundation, and its founder, Tiara Garadziecki. Unfortunately, she's in New York right now, and this award will be taken on her behalf by Mara Gagliazzi.
Thank you very much. I really thank you for opening this dinner and wonderful dancing. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me after this wonderful evening tonight, which I'm just not going to say too much about now because we've all seen it and we've all loved it. But it is an enormous undertaking. It is a huge project. And the person who is at the centre of the project, who does really all the work and oversees the whole thing, is right here amongst us. And she's coming up to see you now. This is Olga Balakis. Big warm round of applause. Thank you very much. Olga Balakis.
Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear lovers of ballet, dance. We've done it again for the 19th time. The next year we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary. I will be thanking many people, but before I will be doing it later, I would like to say thank you, our audience, our guests who are here with us. Some of you come every year and support us every year. Thank you so much for your support. So, I don't know if all of you or some of you managed to see the welcome note which we were privileged to receive from Sir Chris Grant, Minister for Creative Industries, Arts and Tourism. So for those who did not have a chance to read, it will be my pleasure to read this welcome note. As Minister for the Arts, I am delighted to welcome this year's Ballet Icons Gala to the Coliseum. At a time when international relations are turbulent, great art helps to bring us together and to increase dialogue and understanding. The performing arts enhance our soft power and enable creative excellence to reach new audiences. Tonight is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate ballet as one of the greatest art forms and to see some of the best dancers from around the world performing at their peak. I congratulate the organizers of this event for making this possible and hope that you will enjoy what promises to be a magical evening.